Hey everybody over at movies.com, it is the Schmoes No Movie Show.
And that's Kristian, I'm Mark. We're very excited about some films coming out in theaters this week, and it's particularly the Lego movie, and then you got some vampire thing. But we felt like it would be worthwhile to give our top 5 list this week to Philip Seymour Hoffman.
I mean, how can you not? The guy was one of the greatest. He's only 46 years old, and he was one of the greatest actors probably that we've ever seen. And gone way too soon, and we wanted to do an honor for him and list 5 of his greatest movies.
That's right, he made good films great, and he made films he didn't really care about the story watchable just because of his presence. And here's our top 5, and this was a really hard list to narrow down to just 5 films. Here we go. At number 5 is going to be one that I don't know that a lot of our viewers have seen. I actually saw this in the theater before we did around the time we did the show. And it's him and Laura Linney as a brother and sister kind of weird family connection thing, sibling rivalry, called The Savages.
Yeah, this is a movie, again, the movie itself, good. He is great in it, and it's this back and forth that he has with Laura Linney, and they come from a really, just a family that just wasn't great, but the relationship he has with his sister is so good, and that again is because of what Philip Seymour Hoffman could bring to the role, and was so giving as an actor, and you saw the give and take with him and Linney.
Yeah, and he can do obviously some huge budget films as well, but this one kind of felt like a stage play on screen, and he was just marvelous. There's nobody else that would have been better in that role.
Yeah. Number 4, another movie that I don't know if anyone else could have done it. You could have cast someone else, but didn't bring that flair to what he did in Almost Famous.
Oh yeah, this is probably my favorite. I don't know, we did a best worst of Philip Seymour Hoffman a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
I don't know if this was my favorite, but it probably should have been, because he is so good as this radio DJ who never really made it big, wanting to be a rock writer, and then he's kind of the mentor to the kid that's actually who's following this rock band across the country.
Yeah, and it is he's mentoring him and also busting his chops about getting stuff done as he's on the road. And he literally, the scene is him on the phone the whole time throughout the whole movie. And it works because he's that engaging as an actor.
I was listening to 95.5, the channel that we do once a week out here in LA, and they played one of his monologues from that movie when he's talking to the kid about how we're the outsiders, we're the nerds, so we make the great art, beautiful people that don't really get inside that. It's weird like how much I can relate to that.
Makes sense, and I'm sure a lot of the stuff in this next movie you can relate to as well.
Oh yeah, Boogie Nights, huge porn guy over here. Boogie Nights was one of the films that Philip Seymour Hoffman had been working for a while, but this was one of the ones that really announced him as one of the great actors of his generation.
This is Donnie, and he was just so. It was this role again. It is one of the first movies I remember him in, and when he has a crush on Mark Wahlberg the whole time. He's just a guy that he's just so insecure, and but it's this thing that Hoffman was able to do, that you just saw it in his face, like you knew from that character what he was all about just from his eyes. He didn't have to say anything.
And it started a really great and profitable relationship for both of them, with Paul Thomas Anderson being the director, because he would appear in a lot of his later works, including number 2.
Yeah, number 2 would be The Master. Now, this movie came out, I believe, last year, year before. The movie itself, you and I gave a nice review to, but we both agreed that Philip Seymour Hoffman did get nominated for his incredible portrayal.
So powerful. One of the greatest things I like watching on screen from an actor is when they can go from one emotion to the next, like that rise to anger that he has, when he's suddenly in control of everybody. He's this kind of cult leader, and then suddenly can lose control and just lose it like that. It's just so amazing to get into that guy's head a little bit. It was just such a haunting performance.
Was he Ron L. Hubbard? Was he not? It didn't matter, because he was exactly, like you just said, he was this leader, and you watched him throughout, and it's like, oh, maybe I believe what this guy is selling. Oh, wait, he's crazy. Wait, the guy was an artist. He really was an artist, and did that, again, just from his eyes.
Okay, so number 1, what could possibly beat these films? Well, it's one that he was nominated for, I believe, and that would be his performance as Truman Capote in Capote.
It's one of those movies that I believe it was a starring role that when he hit it, you were like, okay, this guy, not only is he one of the best character actors ever, now he's just taking films on his back, all by himself, and it showed he could be the star of a film as well as the person in the back throwing out the bombs.
That's right, and that's our list, that's our top 5. We know that you guys probably have a lot that weren't on the list that you think should have been on there. Our honorable mentions, what's great about the other films that he was in is the range, because he could do like big budget ones like Mission Impossible 3, or Twister, who's just kind of that like classic rock loving hippie. And then he can also play someone in the athletics world like Art Howe, the manager of the Oakland A's in Moneyball.
Yeah, and then you had Punch Drunk Love, and actually, you know, it's funny because you said Twister was one of the things I think you first remembered him in.
Humans Being.
For me, actually, now that I think about it, Scent of a Woman was one of the movies that he was in, where he
Yeah.
was in that. He was one of his earliest roles, and even then, you go back and you watch and you go, chops. He had him.
And the saddest part, not the saddest part, but one of the really sad things about this is that he was so good in Hunger Games Catching Fire. And like you brought up yesterday when we were talking about this, where does that character go? Do they recast?
Yeah.
What do you do? Because apparently, I don't read, so apparently that character is huge in the rest of the series, right?
From what I hear, they finished filming the Mockingjay Part 1 stuff, but now Part 2, they have a lot to fill in, so I don't know how they do that. So it's very tough, and again, tragic all the way around the board.
That's right. If you want some levity, then you can definitely go check out the movies that are coming out in theaters this weekend, such as the Lego Movie or the Vampire one, which I'm sure I'll get the title of by Friday. And thank you to Philip Seymour Hoffman for all the joy that you gave us over the years. One of the greats is sadly now gone.
And if you're not going to the movies this week and you're at home, IMDb his titles and look up all of his movies. Pick one out and watch one, because you will be blown away with anything he does.
That's Kristian. I'm Mark. We are the Schmoes. This is the Schmoes No Movie Show on Movies.com.